studio. This is season 9 of my podcast, The Foyne Jones Show, and in episode 6 we're going to carry on building on success. I honestly believe this is becoming the Charlotte and Charlie show, because the way you just take over now, I'm only allowed to talk at certain times. This is my toy set. It's my train set, James. It's my train set. Anyway, joining us today, we have got someone who is from the builders merchant industry. They're from the construction industry. They've got an amazing story to tell about them, their childhood, and what they've been up to recently. I think that's going to be pretty mind blowing for the listeners when we start sharing what this gentleman's been up to recently. After, or in the second half of the show, if we break for half time, depending on how our VAR ref Charlotte does, but if we do break for half time, we're going to talk about the football team the man supports, and after that we'll find out who's going to join him for dinner. Charlotte's going to do our quiz, and then we've got a real special focus for the final section of today's show. James Noddy Fagan, let him come. You're the best team in London, the best team of them all, aren't you?
We are. Everyone knows us. We're called Millwall.
There you go, mate. So we've rehearsed that. We've rehearsed that, and we kept the no one likes us out of it because we wanted you to be the friendly face of Millwall Football Club.
We're not everyone's cup of tea. We'd probably put that on.
I think that, you don't want to be liked by everyone, mate, do you? But James Fagan, Millwall fan, builders merchant boy originally, now in construction. How you feeling, mate?
Yeah, great. I'm really pleased to be here. It's an amazing setup you got here, and thanks for having me on.
We were talking about it downstairs, and we were talking about we're getting old. I'm 50 now. He's in his mid 40s, and we're kind of we're that way now. We're not going to make the first team anymore. You have to surround yourself with talented people, and I know I said the Charlie and Charlotte, the two Charlie show, but genuinely with Charlie Hooder and with Charlotte, this is actually a pleasure to do. We can just chat like two old geezers, and then away we go, and they turn it into a fantastic podcast. But we have got some stuff to cover today. We're going to get to know you personally, talk about what you've been up to. We'll dive a little bit more into Millwall and your passion for football, and that football club in particular. Talk about who's going to be joining you for dinner, and end on a very special mental health section. So just to start proceedings, James, to get things going, just take a few moments, mate, just to introduce yourself, who you are, what you're doing at the moment, and kind of what you're looking to talk about today.
Right, thank you. So, my name's James. The nickname's Noddy, so that's where the James Noddy Fagan comes from. I've carried that for since my teen years, really, and it'll make a bit more sense later on when we talk about the fun and games I've been up to. South London boy, born and bred, Peckham. South East London in particular, there is a difference. Millwall fan all my life. A proud father of 3 beautiful children. I've got 2 gorgeous daughters and a son, a long-suffering Mrs. Leanne. Shout out to Leanne.
Mate, I mean, let's give all a wonderful family.
Yeah, let's do that.
One of them in particular is a special day for them today, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's just my middle daughter Frankie's 13th birthday today.
Happy birthday, Frankie!
Officially a teen. Yeah, so she's an handful as it is, and now she's allowed to be because she's a teenager, so it comes with the territory.
It's official.
It is official. Our older sister Jamie, she's 17, doing wonderful at college at the minute. She wants to be a PE teacher. She's into her football as well, and boxing. And again, my youngest is my little boy Ryan. He'll be coming up to 12 soon. All 3 of them avid Millwall fans. Unfortunately, they don't get a choice in our family whether they like it or not.
My grown-up children support Fulham, and they didn't get a choice either. And I'm sure they thank me for that every single day.
Yeah, it's very much a sort of a yoke they've got to carry for the rest of their lives, whether they like it or not. Yeah. But no, they do. They love it, and we're, as I said, I was just saying to Pete before the show that we're now season ticket holders there. Couldn't before because the kids wanted to bounce around different stands. Now they're finally happy to stay stuck in one place. So they've got their first season ticket this year. They was really pleased about that. And that's it. Working builders merchants from the age of sort of 16, 17, and worked my way up to where I currently am now. I had a bit of a varied career, bouncing around the industry and out of it for a short period of time. And up until recently, I've been a fairly ordinary bloke, but we've had a fairly extraordinary experience last year, which was amazing, which we'll talk about later. And I've had interactions with Pete through work and sort of like job hunting over the years and stuff like that. So I love the podcast. I've just been really pleased to be able to be part of all this. And
I mean, you get a lot of people on and you say, oh yeah, they're fans of the show, and you have that banter and you hope they listen to an episode. This fella listens to the episodes. Do you know what I mean? And when I dropped in with a bombshell that my mate Jimmy Carter of Millwall fame has been on the podcast in the early days. This is before your magic, Charlie. This is in the dark. This is in the early days, mate. This is and Jimmy Carter. We did a double episode with Jimmy, life before football, life after. Millwall royalty, really. Do you know what I mean?
Absolute legend. I mean, like I said, I remember him both times around at Millwall. To be honest with you, and that was the first thing I said to Pete. I was like, please text me the WhatsApp me the link to it so I can immediately go back through that. I mean, I've been going through your back catalogue anyway to try and look at the older stuff as well because I love the show. But that was a really special one. Both of those episodes, part 1 and part 2, was fantastic. So I bet it was fun having him in, you know.
Good fella, Jimmy, mate. Yeah, good fella, Jimmy. Really, really good. And actually, you know, you talk about modern football and everything there, like, you know, and no one really knew it at the time, but Jimmy was the first Asian player to play in the Premier League. You know,
I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, he genuinely was. Nah. He said all my mates I played with thought I was Jimmy with a suntan. Like, genuinely, that's how he spoke about it. So Jimmy was the first Asian player to play in the Premier League. Yeah, absolutely was.
That's an incredible fact. Yeah, that would be a pub football trivia one for us.
Absolute legend, mate. And it was really good actually because a few months after the episode he did with me, they started promoting that on Sky and stuff like that, and they were doing an Asian football thing, and I started getting I got the podcast back out again. Then I was like, this is good. The listeners are coming back again. So good guy, you know. But what he said to me was so powerful actually that, you know, and he went on to Liverpool, he went on to Arsenal, won some trophies at Arsenal, but he said the one thing that he looks back on in his career was winning the second division with Millwall. He said that to him, he played almost every game. That's him. That's what he pins it on.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the 87-88 season, which would have been the old First Division, what was now the Championship, going up into what is now the Premier League, basically for us. So that was phenomenal for me. I mean, I was 6. Sorry, just come up for 6 at the time, but still vividly remember being at the old Den, standing up and watching him play, and obviously I've still got the shirt, and the shirt we got the next. I was really lucky that somebody actually bought my brother the shirt that then got handed down to me, because that's how it worked back then. You get your hand-me-downs from your older brother. Actually got the shirt with the 87-88 Championship winners around the actual badge, so one of the I'm still got that shirt indoors, so that was phenomenal.
Fair play, mate.
Great memories.
Fair play. So that builder's merchant career, that began for you where, James? You've got a lot of builder's merchant listeners, so let's just touch on that. Where did it start for you, mate?
So for some of the older listeners, they might remember Merton Timber as an independent builders merchants, timber and builders merchants based in South East and South West London. Eventually got taken over by Jewson's. But when I was there, it was an independent called Merton Timber. I was 16 years old, and one of my best mates, again, something I'll mention later on in the show, but a guy called Ricky Essex. He went to school with him, primary school, nursery, was born on the same day with this lad, one of my best pals in the world. I was looking for a job at the time, and he said, look, there's a job at a timber yard near me in Dulwich, and I went over to there and I met a guy called Len Rose, a very, very special person. There's a few people in your life as you move through that do what they believe is probably nothing, a very small thing. In fact, he said it to me when we've had conversations, but he doesn't realise the impact he had on me at 16, 17 years of age. I'd never been told up until that age that I was going to be good at anything, or that I had any sort of real worth in the world. There's a lot of teachers sort of telling you you're not going to amount to anything, and I didn't have that necessarily from a strong male role model in my biological dad. And Len was like that. He was very rough and ready, ex-London cabbie, didn't mince his words, but basically said, you're better than you think you are, and I know you are, and you need to turn up and it was about being punctual, be in work 15 minutes before work, ready to start work bang on time. It's going to be hard work. He made no bones about that, but he said, if you want to do well, you're going to be able to do well. And the proof was in that, because I went from working in the yard into the trade counter, up into telesales, running the telesales office, and then that basically pushed me off into the point where I ended up leaving Merton Timber and going to a company called Lawson's. But Merton Timber, Len Rose, and again, I hope he gets to listen to this. I'm going to send him a link to it if I can, because he had a huge impact on my life just by taking a chance. And that's just one, the multiple conversations where he pull you to one side, put an arm around your shoulder and give you a bit of advice and tell you where you're going wrong and be honest with you. And it's the first time I ever had someone being critical with a solution. So it wasn't just criticising you or having a go at you. It's you're doing this wrong, and this is what you should be giving you a point to reflect as well. What do you think you could have done better? Why do you think that I've had a go at you there? Why do you think that I've pulled you to one side and have a chat with you? I've never had that from someone, and it was the first. Well, I've had it since, but at that point in my life, that was the first time I come into contact with constructive criticism from someone who genuinely cared. So yeah, I really got a soft spot in my heart for that.
It's lovely to hear that, because I had a guest a couple of episodes ago, Mark Tanner, who played. I still call him Boss, and he had that kind. He had an amazing impact on me inside work, outside of work, and still does. And journeys can be shaped by that.
Absolutely.
Careers can be shaped by someone giving you a chance and giving you a break. And I think that's the challenge for the builders merchant industry in general now, because if we're going to want to get the new James Fagan or a younger version of James Fagan, we're competing with lots of other industries. Some will be allegedly more trendier, some will be allegedly more affluent. So we've got to make sure we stand up and celebrate the pathways, celebrate the opportunities, and get them into the right people. Because I also think as well, there's a type of person that can really have it off and be successful in the industry.
Yeah,
they can, but we want to see those personalities. We want to see that passion, and we want to see it coming through, and that comes through from you, James, in everything you do. All right, but unusually as well, and I know I'm bringing this in from kind of a recruiter's perspective, but we often get asked to find people in senior roles, management roles, leadership roles, and one of the prerequisites more often than not is having a driving licence, because it comes with a company car, it comes with a car allowance. Yep. If you're a rep, how are you going to get around? And I think there's a logic to say that makes sense in many areas, but it doesn't always make sense in London town. It doesn't always make sense in Oxford. It doesn't always make sense in Brighton. So I think you're quite unique, because you've been a senior player in that game, and you don't have a driving licence, do you?
I am fully pedestrianised, yeah. So I mean, it's one of the things that's been a blocker for us as well in certain career moves that I've looked to make as well at certain points. So it's never been a blocker for me in day-to-day work. It's never been an issue for us. If you're in a place that's got good transport links, if you're willing to do a bit of walking, if you're willing to cycle potentially to certain areas, I always think that the emphasis should be put on the person to prove that they're capable of getting to where they need to get to. That can be a prerequisite, by all means, saying that you will need to travel as part of your role. Do you understand that you might have to catch a train? They assume that people don't like public transport. I found that I was always more productive doing that. I'm able, in a more senior situation, or when I was doing sales, for example, I could catch up on emails, I could correspond with people a lot more effectively. And on the trains and sort of networks that we've got now, particularly in London and the larger cities, you've got free Wi-Fi, you've got the ability to plug your laptop in, you can answer a few emails, things that you can't necessarily do in a car in traffic when you're supposed to be 100% focused on driving. I never had an issue getting to any meetings, even cross-country ones. If I was made to go to Birmingham or Manchester or something like that, I was always able to get there on public transport, and I actually always felt a lot more comfortable doing that. And a lot of the times when you go onto lots of job sites, full UK driving licence, and I'm thinking, how much talent are we losing out there? How much are we missing out on talent-wise based on saying that a full UK driving licence is a mandatory prerequisite for a job? I think it's a really foolhardy move on a lot of employers. I think it's an ingrained kind of behavioural thing where it's like traditionally this is what they've always had to have in place. Like we think of a rep as being, I'm going to throw a name out there. So for any people that know Lawson's, there was a legend there called Mark Longstaff. And Mark Longstaff was an on-foot rep who pulled bigger numbers than any of the driving reps in the London area, and he was completely pedestrianised. He was always on foot, always on the trains, always on the tubes, had a little bag of literature with him, had all the stuff that he needed to do his job, and he did it on foot. And he was renowned for being very, very successful in doing that. And I always looked at that and thought, well, look, if he can do that, and I'm going back then. Nowadays with Zoom and Teams calls and remote meetings, there's really very little that a driving licence can enhance someone's sort of worth, I think, as an employer. And you're missing
James, out. And I work with employers, so I understand. But it's a non-negotiable on so many occasions.
So many.
I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm saying that it's actually, we will not interview them if they don't have this.
Absolutely.
And whatever. And again, you talk about bringing through our stars of the future. We did a whole series on it. Making sure the industry is attractive to the next generation. Well, there's a lot of good salespeople, and there's a lot of good players in it's not just in sales. It could be in marketing, HR, wherever. Ops, it could be wherever they are. Driving is not something they want to do. So it's how we get them considered and how we open it up. And you call me old-fashioned, but I think the best person should get the job. The person that is the most suitable for the role comes across the well. You can see the medium and long-term potential as well as the short sharp hit, because that's cheap recruitment. Lots of people want to buy a solution. They want to parachute someone in. They hit the ground running straight away. No training's needed. I want to hire the black book of contacts.
Yep.
That's great, but let's give someone a chance and let's let them grow and let them learn. Because aspirationally, if you link it back to football, if you're coming out of the reserve team and you're getting a run in the first team, someone's believing in you.
Yeah.
Like your ex-cabbie was. They're believing in you. They want to give you a chance. That's important. Yeah. And I always think aspirationally you get the best. You get best out of people when you're giving them a chance.
Well, it lights a fire inside you. It makes you want to do well. It gives you that want to prove yourself more than just turning up and clocking in. You see a career path for yourself, which what I always tried to see wherever I went to was, where is my next step? It was never just clocking in and clocking out. And I've got nothing against anyone that wants to do that, because if you find something that you love and you want to keep doing that, I've got nothing but respect for that. But it's good to have an environment where you can do that. And as I said, if the driving was ever a blocker for that, I feel like we're really missing out as an industry. I think we're missing out on a lot of talent for people that maybe can't afford to get their driving license at a younger age, because it isn't cheap. I mean, I'm about to put my daughter through driving lessons now.
I mean, you've got to work hard to find an instructor nowadays as well.
And to get your lessons. I mean, to get the tests rather. Sorry, because the test part of it, you could be waiting a year for that, and we're missing out on someone where another industry could come in without that as a prerequisite and scoop them up. So I think you're possibly missing out on a big bank of talent out there for people that either can't drive, don't want to drive. And I'm thinking with the ESG and the environmental initiatives that all these companies are trying to meet at this point, surely not driving would be a benefit in that situation. That taking another vehicle, putting another vehicle on the road, whether it's be electric or not, I think it makes more sense. I mean, you for those of you that drive on the road, but you know what it's like, traffic out there, it's ridiculous.
I mean,
trying to find
all
a
I'd
parking
say,
space.
all that glitters isn't gold. I had a 15-20 minute journey today and I got stuck in traffic. You come down from South East London and you got here before me.
Bet you.
And you did 2 trains. You had 2 trains and a walk along the beach. But tell you what does come through though, James. You're a working class boy from a South East London council estate, right? Yeah, so he's from Peckham, boys and girls, not Bermondsey, never forget it. How's Manzeys? All right, still going?
It's still the best one, mate. That Tower Bridge is all right.
Well, I had a very emotional moment last year when Harrington shut in Tooting. Like that's four or 5 generations. That's been my pie mash shop, mate, and it is no longer, and that was heartbreaking for me.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So I might have to go south of the water, but I don't like it over there, mate. Bandit country, isn't it, south?
I will treat you to a Manzeys Peckham, and you'll be perfectly safe.
2 and 2, mate.
Yeah, I struggle.
2 pie, 2 mash, 2 liquor.
I struggle with the 2 mash sometimes. I get a bit greedy for myself, so I try and do 2, 1 and 2. But yeah.
All right, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, we could talk pie mash formations another time, right? Not a pie mash and liquor fan, Charlie, are you?
Mate, I'd be very happy in
there. Yeah, you all right in that environment?
Brilliant.
Yeah, cracking on.
Charlotte? Yeah, okay, all right. We'll make it a team event. There we go. We'll come over for something you're talking about later. We'll come over for a walk and talk.
No worries.
We'll have a pie and mash after it, and maybe we'll watch a football game.
That'd be great.
There we go.
Great.
Right. So in that intro, James, you spoke about your background. You spoke about travelling. You spoke about having some fire in your belly and being passionate and doing things that are very unexpected. What we're going to talk about now and what you're going to explain to the listeners is so unique. It's so surreal. It's so crazy. When you told me it was going on and it started popping up, I'm like, is he winding me up? Like, why has he got his tux on? What's happening here? Do you know what I mean? So you've not just done something. You've absolutely ripped up the rule book, which is a Foyne Jones expression. And I'm going to let you tell everyone what you've actually been doing and why we're going to be talking about it now, mate. So over to you.
Okay, so that lad that I mentioned earlier, Ricky Essex, my best pal, lifelong friend, made a call to me November 2023, and he said to me, Noddy, that's my nickname, that's what he calls me, you need to watch this show. You need to watch this show. It's called 007 Road to a Million. It's on Amazon. You got to watch it. So anyway, I've asked him why, and apparently it's because me and him are going to go on it and we're going to win it. That was his words. Yeah, so confident lad. And he said, if I want to do it, I don't want to do it with anyone else other than you. I'm probably the third person he phoned that actually answered the phone. Eventually he gets me. So anyway, watched the show back to back. So me and Leanne, my missus, we watched it, binge watched it, the whole lot of it, loved it. I'm a massive James Bond fan. Basically, the premise of the show, you get taken all around the world doing James Bond challenges. It's a mixture of, mental, physical and strategic approaches, so very spy-like. And for me, I don't know any little boy or little girl for that matter that doesn't want to be in an adventure like that. Every little boy wants to be James Bond at some point, particularly from my generation. So anyway, we applied for the show, and it was a 2-minute video we had to do. Submitted it right at the last minute. We was literally one of the last entries in, so nearly didn't make it. Get a phone call the following year. Just kind of forgot about it for a couple of months. Get a phone call. You've made it we've made it into a shortlist. We do a screen test. We make it onto the show. It's still very surreal at this point. We're running around Islington, being filmed to make sure that we look good on camera.
How'd you overcome that?
To be fair, they must have caught a very good angle at me. To be honest, mostly the back of the head. So me and Rick ended up on on what was the new 007 Road to a Million season 2. And it takes you all around the world. I mean, we go to Thailand. I'm having to handle scorpions. We're swimming in the Thai Sea. We're on speedboats. We're following clues, and we're being basically given all these instructions by who is Brian Cox, the actor, wonderful actor. His character is called the Controller, and he's like the M kind of character that's sort of, he's the architect of our misery, though, to be fair, because he's essentially sending us to all these crazy far-flung places doing insane things. And we found ourselves at 3,500 metres up in the air on top of a cable car, having to climb along the cables to the top of Sholden, and a mountain in Sholden, which is basically where the scene from Skyfall shot at the top there, with the facility that they're at, where Q has his probiotic enzyme shake at the top and all the rest of it. I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I was thinking about the fact I'm 3,500 metres up in the air and well out of my comfort zone. Was your probiotic
enzyme shaking for yours? Your shaking,
my legs were, my legs were shaking more than anything. But we was following these challenges, and we was having to disable, sort of these world-ending, devices and stuff like that. It was all very, very cool being involved in it. Got to drive an Aston Martin DB5 again as a passenger, because I don't drive. So I was perfectly happy being a passenger in that and playing with the gadgets. But, everything from swimming with sharks in the Bahamas, we had to dive 25 metres. I have got a absolutely paralysing fear of the water. Always have done since I was little. And my kids didn't know that until they watched the show. For anyone that watches the show, you'll see it very evident. And for anyone that's got kids, you might want to cover their ears a few times, because I may have let the odd profanity slip. I apologise in advance. But that's fairly normal when you've got a 15-foot shark swimming next to you. I was told they were perfectly safe, but I didn't trust that, to be fair. I haven't seen any evidence that they're definitely safe.
I mean, the shark's probably just sharking around going, you just tell yourself that.
It was.
You just tell yourself that.
Well, when you get briefed saying keep your hands close to your chest, whilst you're under the water, don't offer anything out there. I was like, well, apparently they're safe, but no, that's not the case. They put you up against your biggest fears. We got kidnapped, and had a hood put over your head, and heavy metal music being put in your ears, sitting there for like ages, and then you get the hood taken off. You've got a snake draped around your neck, and you're zip tied to a chair, and had to find our way out of that. And what it really does is it makes you dig really deep in yourself to find, even though you're scared, even though you have to find a level of resilience and composure. And to be fair, it's something that, again, it all builds from your early influences in your life. It's the fact, I'm not saying that when I was working at Merton Timber I was tied to a chair and had a snake draped around my neck, but you find yourself in awkward situations and you learn that you can overcome it. And I was always sort of taught to say, yes, have a go at it, try it, don't be scared of it. And that was something that we tried to do in the show itself. And there was also a lot of authentic moments. You'll see me crying in the show. You'll see me very, very emotionally exposed in the show. Rick's a bit more stoic and a bit more stiff upper lip about it all, but I'm very much heart on your sleeve, and I think it's good for everyone to see that. I think it's good for young lads to see that, people that sound like me and look like me, to see that it's okay to give people permission a little bit to be emotionally vulnerable, because it's a sign of emotional maturity. It's not a sign of weakness. And that's something that I wanted to be able to show, that look, you can still be scared of something and do it. And I think that's very true in life. It shouldn't shouldn't stop you from doing it. You can be authentic and say, I'm scared, but you should also be courageous enough to go, look, bravery isn't the absence of fear, it's the presence of fear, but the willingness to go on and walk through that. And that's what the show was.
For so many people, though, they'll watch all different shows on the telly. You know, some are physical, some are mental, some are, you know, it's top, middle or bottom. It could be whatever it is.
Absolutely,
and you're like, I'd like to have a go at that. But then it's that stick or twist. The majority of people won't even hit apply.
No.
They'll think it won't be me. I won't get the gig. It will be someone else. But you got this with your pal. And there's such a childhood bond there, which makes it so special. When you talk about it, it's so special to hear. So, how many people were you up against? Who else was in that lineup when it started?
8 pairs in total, basically, and from all different walks of life. Really strong competitors there that we was up against, and it was basically the change in the format from season 1 to season 2 was that we're pitted against each other.
Yeah.
So from the very beginning, you're told that you are in a briefing room with Brian Cox, you know, with the controller, saying that you are in direct competition with each other, and it makes you. We had to form alliances at certain points. We had to make difficult choices. We had to strategically, you know, decide who you should be aligning yourself with and working out who your competition. It's really interesting to see the people who you think in the beginning of the show are going to be your strongest competition often don't end up to be, and some of the ones that you wouldn't expect to be are really strong competitors. So it's really, really quite an interesting watch from that side. Obviously, I'm going to say that because I was in it, and I think it was the most incredible thing I've ever done in my life. But just actually being in, I mean, at one point, not any spoilers there, but we are in the Dia de los Muertos, so we're in the Day of the Dead parade in Mexico. So for anyone who's watched Spectre, we are right there, you have to pinch yourself every now and again to realise where you actually are. I mean, I travelled more in that year during that filming process there than I have in the whole of my life. And again, I never would have thought, me and Rick said to each other a few times, you know, we wouldn't have been sat there on the council estate at 13, 14, kicking a football about, you know, going, you imagine we'd be driving the DB5 at some point, or we'd be running around in Mexico. We'd never have thought that.
We're going to be on the telly, Rick.
We're going to be on the telly.
I mean? Like, let's cut it back to that. I'm going to be on the telly. We're from an era when we had like 3 channels. Then when we went big and we got 4 channels.
Yeah.
You know, this is the get on
even Channel 5 was temperamental.
Oh, mate, that was life changing, wasn't it? Yeah, that was life changing. But it's so powerful that, and also I think the where you've just been so open there. You said, like, you know, do you know what? I broke down. I got emotional. You know, I bared stuff. You're not going into that thinking that's going to happen, I'd imagine. But it's bringing it out, and it's making it. You must have some amazing memories. When did it finish and when did it air? Because I imagine that's really awkward. That like in between bit, isn't it?
So the filming ended early 2025, and it aired. Obviously,
and how long was you? Did you say how long?
So the filming, sort of the whole process runs through from 2024 through to 2025, and then it aired like August basically, sort of later into 2025, and that gap between there, you almost forget that you've done it. So you go back to work, you go back to your family, you go back to normal life, and you kind of forget that you've done this incredible, surreal thing that's almost like a dream. And then when it all comes back to the weirdest thing is watching yourself on television, hearing your voice. I mean, your missus and kids. Yeah, well, you must know that from the podcast. The first time you ever see yourself or hear yourself saying something, you think, oh, do I look like that? Do I really sound like that? But it's really, it's forever as well. It's there forever. You've got that out there. And for the kids, I would have thought it would have been amazing for them. But to be fair, they were a bit,
Dad's on again.
Dad's on the telly again. Dad's on the telly again. Yeah, and can we watch something else? Yeah.
To be fair, nowhere near the level. But like just this weekend, Charlotte's mum, funny enough, was with us, and she was saying, "Oh, Charlotte showed me some of your videos. They're really good. Like, you know, like the way you talk. Charlotte's edited that one, and you talk so well." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks. That's really nice of you to say." And my missus is like, "Please don't set him off again. Like, he'll start playing them. I don't want to hear him again. Like, please take him away." So I'd imagine that in a little way, there's so much love there, but your kids are still going to get bored of their old man on the telly, aren't they?
We're a South London family, so we give each other stick. That's the way we build resilience rather than build each other up. We have our quiet moments where we build each other up and tell each other we're proud of each other, but for the most part, we're digging each other out and making ourselves bulletproof. That's the whole point of it. That's the way you show the most love in our family, is giving each other stick.
I don't know if you can answer this or not, and if you can't, it doesn't matter, right? But I've got to ask this: did you like give the family any like, well, this is going to happen, and like, don't panic, it's all right, the scorpion ain't going to get me or whatever? Did you make them watch it like without knowing?
Well, I had to tell them some of the stuff that had gone on there, because because obviously they were chomping at the bit to sort of know what's going on. But I didn't want to spoil it because I wanted it to be. And you got to think, for me, I only knew mine and Rick's journey on it. So when we sat down to watch it, we got to see everyone else's journey that was equally brand new to all of us. So we only knew it from a very sort of singular kind of linear process that we followed, but there was a much bigger scape of things that were going on that we didn't get a chance to actually, we was involved in it, but we didn't get to experience it. So it was like me watching it for the first time anyway. So there was a lot of elements of that you didn't get to see and that the kids didn't know about. Well, I wanted to keep some stuff back, but obviously the main thing they was asking is, have you got any more money, Dad? Basically, they were basically their present list was getting bigger and bigger every time you come back and go, you managed to get through another one, have you, Dad? Right, fair enough. Or maybe I won't have that BMX. There's a scrambler.
There's only so many other contestants left now, aren't there, Dad? So you're there next week. Are we coming back next week?
Yeah, so I think there was an element of that, but no, there was also the cool part of it, and we want to go and revisit some of the places that we went to as a family. We're going to try and do some of that stuff, so that'll be a cool part of it there.
And are you allowed to share what happened?
Yeah, I mean,
because this is important.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, we was the last agents standing. Boom, indeed.
Well done.
Thank you so much. But we did falter at the final hurdle there, and I won't tell you what it was, but I think when everyone watches it, they'll see that it was very close. But we was the proud moment for us is that we were the last agent standing. So me and Rick basically did what we said we'd do, which was eliminate all the competition.
So does that mean you won?
I would go so far as to say we won out of we didn't win the actual show itself. So the actual million itself was still, contested there, but we did walk away with a very good consolation prize, put it that way. So it was a good day's work for us in that sense. And in our minds, obviously we're going to paint it like that because I've got the opportunity. I've got the microphone. So we won in our eyes because we beat everyone. The only person that beat us in the end was Brian Cox, and he's stiff competition. So the controller won in the end. But I think we took everyone out. We wasn't aware that the final element of it was not going to be up against another set of agents because, again, it was very well put together. We was kept very much in the dark of that stuff. So when we realised it was us against the controller, we kind of thought we'd already made it at that point. And then when you see, for those, I encourage you to watch it, but when you watch the final episode, you'll go, oh, yeah, that was a difficult one there for them. So fell short of the final hurdle, but we came the furthest in the show, so we got the most exposure. And
like you said to me when we was talking on the phone, it weren't the worst couple of weeks' work for you, really, was it?
I've had worse weeks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
definitely. Yeah. And as I keep saying, Leanne and the kids did really well out of it. I got to be on the telly. Yeah. They got they're comfortably sort of dividing up the winnings themselves.
Well done, mate.
Yeah.
Well done. I mean, that's it's just a great story.
I'd have done it for free, Pete.
Yeah.
Don't tell Amazon that.
No, well, there you go, mate. There you go. I mean, that sums it up. But actually, to do that with your pal as well, I think to do that with one of your closest mates and to share that. And the last thing I think to finish it off, and you said this downstairs when you were talking to me and Charlotte, and I thought it was so good what you said was that, for a couple of times, you and your mate were like literally having a sleepover. You were in the hotel room, no tech about, just watching whatever's around and just talking to each other and having fun. But that must be so special.
That's priceless. That's the thing about a lot of blokes, and I know that a lot of men and women out there will both identify with this, that friends that you would have had when you was teenagers, that you was literally in each other's pockets, staying over, sleepovers, all those crazy inside jokes that you had there, that you struggle to carry that into your 30s, your 40s, because you have families and you have lives together, but you're still very much separate because you go your different directions. This forced us into a very weird situation where our families were away. We basically had a free pass at being teenagers again, albeit much more wrinkly and slightly more grey around the edges, but we were teenagers again, and we got to have a laugh, and that was so therapeutic, and it's something that we tried to carry on. We came back and we said, look, we're going to have to stay in touch a bit more, mate, and do more of this, because it's, from a mental health perspective, to touch into that, it's really important to be able to connect on that sort of, simple childlike level to a certain extent, where you can just have a laugh with your friends and forget about, the the responsibilities of life for a little while.
And we will touch on that. But I mean, for what that challenge sounds for you and Rick, you've pushed yourself physically, you've pushed yourself mentally,
Definitely.
you've been through every emotion, and you've walked away holding your heads up high and being quite proud. You did
Very
South
proud.
London proud, mate, eh?
I hope so. Yeah,
I think you did, and what a fantastic first half of this podcast, James. It's been an absolute pleasure to get you here. Charlie's like fascinating. You just see the excitement in listening to your story. Charlotte, we spoke about this before, so again, it's just it just gets better every time you bring something in, doesn't it? It's really good, mate. So
thank you.
We'll see you after the break, and after the break, we'll be talking Millwall, Dream Dinner guests. Charlotte's got a quick fire quiz, and then we've got a very powerful closing message. Thank you so much, mate. Enjoying it?
No, yeah, absolutely. Having a wonderful time.
Brilliant.
When it comes to bricks, there's only one company to speak with. ET Clay have something for every brick project. With over 400 products across our 2 depots, we are the builder's merchant, brick merchant.
Welcome back to episode 6 of season 9 of the Foyne Jones Show. Just up there to your left, James, we are building on success. Let's say thank you to our sponsors. David Blitz, the MD of ET Clay Products. He loves bricks and bricks. And without him, it's good he loves podcasts as well, because without him, we don't have a show. If I don't have a show, I don't have you sitting there telling your story, mate. And what a story. From a Peckham Council estate to all over the world on a road to a million adventure. We're now going to wrap this show up, getting just a little bit more to know a little bit about you and your makeup when you're not at work. You're a Millwall fan.
I am.
Yeah. How are they doing at the moment?
Yeah, we're doing all right. So we're currently sitting like 3rd in the league, which is, to be fair, I don't want to get too excited, because this side of the break for Christmas, you know that we can always have a sort of the second half of that can tail off. But I'm quietly confident at the moment that we're doing well. So we're off the back of quite a few wins, and I'm happy with the way it's going. Femi Aziz is an absolute legend. I probably shouldn't say that out too loud, because I don't want people to come in and swoop and take away our talent. But
he score goals?
He doesn't stop at the minute. He's a winger. He's a winger he's a winger that scores goals. Yeah, basically. Yeah. So he's incredible.
We're top heavy with wingers, mate. We just need we need a bit of thing at Fulham. It's been interesting, mate. We've managed to now lose 4 on the spin.
But it's been tight for you guys, hasn't it?
But we still lost 4 on the spin.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually said at the weekend, I think I'd rather just lost 2-0 and just been beaten. Like to go 1 down, to equalise, to be bossing the game, to be holding on, then suffering a last minute defeat again.
It's gut wrenching, isn't it?
We've got a few winnable games coming up, so eventually we're gonna have to try and get a few points, mate. But who's your all-time favourite Millwall player, mate?
Oh, that's a strong one. Terry Erlock, probably, to be honest with you.
Terry Erlock, of Fulham fame as well, by the way.
Close between him and Cascarino, to be honest with you. Yeah. But they were 2 absolute legends for me. Yeah.
So Terry Erlock, and we don't need other heroes. We've got Tony Cascarino, mate. That was some team with him and Teddy up front, wasn't it?
Phenomenal. Yeah, actually, not long before that, Neil Ruddock actually played up front for us at one point. Imagine having Neil Ruddock as a forward. Yeah. Sorry, Neil, if you're out there. He's a big lad.
No, mate, listen. I mean, it's I love everything about Millwall. I've been to Cold Blow Lane. I've been to the New Den. I've seen Fulham win there a few times. I've seen Fulham lose there as well. So it's just it's one.
I think you guys have had the better of it, though.
Lately, I think, and I get it is what it is. But it's just anyone who hasn't been, if your team plays there away, you just got to go and feel it. It's just, I push back on modern stadia. I push back on kind of the commercialness of football quite a lot.
Yeah.
Go Millwall away, right?
Yeah, and but I'd say the same about the Cottage. It's an absolute fortress there.
That reminds you what football's about, mate. And that reminds you what football's about. So I genuinely do hope you have a good season, mate. Playoffs, automatic promotion. What's the team capable of?
I would like automatic promotion, Pete. You know what? Us and playoffs don't get on, and it's too much of a heartache for us, to be honest with you. We've had, I think we've probably got into the playoffs more than most teams in that division, and it's always been bittersweet for me. So I'd love to have an automatic place, and just please, lads, keep going. I'd like to see them get to an automatic promotional position. Two would be nice.
Well, now you've got your season tickets. The family can be enjoying it with you and your mates. And do you know what? I wish you every success this season.
Thank you, and same to you. I mean, I hope your season turns around for you.
I'll be happy. Like, genuinely, I'd love us to get to a cup final. I just think it'd be really special, and I just don't want to get relegated again. Even though it's great coming up, I just think we just need to we've got a very good manager, and I think we're going to be all right. I genuinely do. But we've only won twice this season. We just lost 4 on the bounce. So by the time this episode's gone out, hopefully I'll be saying it's all right now. We've won 2 of the next 3, and we're all go again. So let's talk about dinner. All right.
Yes.
So I know you like your Thai food.
I do.
I know you like your pie and mash, mate. Man after my own heart. All right. That is food of the gods. Indeed. Pie and mash. If we were having pie and mash and we were going to Manzi's and we could bring anyone we wanted, 3 dream dinner guests, past or present, who's in your lineup, mate?
Right. So I have thought about this. I've thought about it a few times. I would go with, and by the way, I'm not going with this necessarily for being greedy when people just pick these massive legends out of nowhere. I'm doing it because I think the dynamic would work. Hear me out on this. So Muhammad Ali, huge boxing fan, and I think personal principles as well as who he was as a sports person and a spokesperson for the sport was phenomenal. I would go with Keanu Reeves, one of my favourite actors, but also a great human being. His altruism is, how he is as a human being. He very much aligns with he doesn't care about money. Yeah, he's more about living life and his experience, and he's just a very humble human being. I think he's an exemplary person. And I think that's 2 very polarised sort of strong characters there. So you need someone to break the ice or cut through the tension there a bit. So I'm putting Sean Locke in there. All right, absolute one of my favourite comedians ever. God rest him. He's he was an incredible human being. Very funny, very insightful, very witty.
He spent a lot of time locally, you know. He lived in Lewis for a little while. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Chelsea fan, wasn't he?
He was. No one's perfect.
Funny man.
He was a hilarious man, and I think his witty banter would cut through. I think he'd have Ali in stitches, and I think he'd bring Keanu Reeves out.
He'd bring Keanu into the conversation.
I think he would. I think it'd be very good. I think it'd be a good dynamic there. So I'm not being greedy. I've got people that I love.
Do you reckon they'd share a bowl of stew deals and liquor on the side, or do you reckon they just go traditional 1-1-1? I
think they'd probably go 1-1-1. I think Keanu, out of politeness, might try it. I think Ali would knock it across the table and tell you what he thinks here. I think Sean would be picking up whatever he's knocked off the table. So
fair enough, mate. I mean, I'm sharing my dream dinner guest towards the end of this season, but it's always great, right? It's always fantastic to get everyone's viewpoints, and that's a good lineup you put together, mate. There's chemistry there, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to shrink it down, Charlotte, right? But we're going to do your quiz quickly.
Yeah, we'll do it quickly.
Can you hit this gentleman with a couple of questions?
Yeah. So, what is one of your hobbies that you do away from work to de-stress? And
I like pool and
like
snooker.
Pool?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Do you go down to the local pub or?
Yeah, if you can find one with a pool table in it nowadays, but if not, there's a snooker hall not too far from us. So yeah.
Nice. Another question is, what's one piece of advice that you would tell your younger self starting off working?
Don't chase money.
Don't chase money.
Yeah.
Nice. And then I'll give you one more. What is a key memory that you can tell me about from your life, your career?
Life would be the birth of all 3 of my kids. That was phenomenal. Nothing beats that. Career-wise would probably be actually my first year at Merton Timber. It was such a strong embedded memory for me, like the whole experience of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for answering my questions.
You're welcome.
James, going to just bring things down a little bit now, and we're going to talk about. You've got a fantastic hoodie on, mate. Fantastic hoodie, great charity. Boys get sad too.
Yeah.
You spoke about mental health. You spoke about some of the things you've been involved in. I've seen what you've been doing when you're doing your press ups. I'm big myself in keeping the conversations going. We wanted to end today's episode, Charlie. We wanted to just keep the mental health discussion going, and James has got a lot to bring to that discussion. And you've got a lot coming up, haven't you? So let's talk about what you got planned for November. Let's talk about what you do personally, where you give up your time to inspire other people to get moving and get talking. And let's just talk about the importance of being able to have a conversation with someone if you're feeling pretty rubbish, because we all need that sometimes, don't we?
I think, absolutely. And massively in support of all the stuff that I see you doing, obviously on LinkedIn and on socials as well, for your side of it, being an advocate for mental health in general. I mean, men's mental health is really important for me. Mental health in general was important to me. We do a walk and talk every Saturday. Starts at North Greenwich. It's a 9 o'clock, between 9 and 10 o'clock. It does vary, but we put it out on socials regular. And it's just a walk along the Thames to the Cutty Sark. We stop at a cafe on the way by. We just have a chat. There is no pressure on anyone there to express or open up if they don't want to. It's just company if somebody wants it. I think it's massively important. We're going to be doing events throughout Movember. For all 4 weeks, we've got separate events we're going to be running that are going to involve physical activities, sponsorship. Again, this is all going to be on socials. That will tag, for anyone that wants to follow us along on that. I'm going to obviously have a tash for it, so I'm going to get rid of my beard that I have all the time and stick with a tash and let that grow out for the whole of Movember. But I think the fact of the matter is, we need to do more of this. We need to be checking in with our friends, and I would really encourage everyone that's listening to this off the back of this, the minute they've finished listening to this podcast, is to just drop a text to a couple of your mates and see how they are and ask them genuinely how they are. Like, not just how's it going, mate, when you know you're going to get a stock response from them. Let them know in that message that you're genuinely asking them how they are. Do you want to meet up? Do you want to go for a coffee? Do you want to, go out socially? Do you want to go for a walk? It makes a big difference, and the walk and talk makes a difference, because I find it's a lot easier than the sitting opposite one another. Even though I feel massively welcome here and you're wonderful people, walking side by side along the pier at Brighton, or walking along the Thames, or walking in nature, you find that people open up a lot more, and they're a lot more, they feel a lot less conscious of themselves when they're talking. You find that people open up that you wouldn't expect them to, and we've had some amazing conversations over the few weeks that we've been doing. It's been over nearly a month and a half we've been doing it now, and a friend of mine, Matt Power's, doing it with me. Massive shout out to Matt. He's an advocate for Ringside Charity, the boxing charity for ex-boxers and current boxers that have suffered injuries. And it's really important, really close to my heart, because I think more people that sound like me, again, look like me, that might not necessarily what people would see as sort of a man's man kind of situation. We've got to be more accepting of hearing conversations from people. When someone down the pub, when someone starts talking like this, you might find people shut it down a little bit for a laugh or a joke. And I think we need to pay attention to those conversations, because sometimes someone's reaching out to you then, and I'm not trying to take away the banter, because the banter needs to be there. I'm not taking away the blokes being blokes, because that does need to be there, but I think there needs to be a little bit of conscious reading between the lines sometimes, and pulling your mate to one side and going, look, I know we're having a laugh and a joke there, mate, but are you all right? What you were saying there is, do you want to have a chat? Because for our walks and talks that we do, even if one person turns up that needs it that day, that's made it worthwhile for us. And that's all it means.
And it does make such a difference.
Yeah.
I've done various different events, fundraising, campaigns, raised lots of money, raised lots of awareness, and been there. And the most humbling thing I find is the message. Someone will drop you a direct message and they'll say, like, James, keep doing that, mate, because actually, I know what I've seen the impact of suicide, or I've seen the impact of someone having a breakdown. Please encourage someone to talk, and again, it's what you're saying. It's not all about the hundreds of thousands of pounds you can raise, or the tenner you can raise, or the next donation, the next sponsorship. It's actually being there, and actually being there for someone. What you're doing, James, and I want to say this, and I'm sure Charlie and Charlotte agree with me. You're giving up your time on a Saturday to encourage people like me to come and have a moan, to come and open up, to have a cup of tea, to have a walk, to run, whatever it is. But you don't have to do that, right? But you're doing it because there's something in you that wants to help, and it wants to care, and it wants to get going, it wants to get conversations going. That, Mr. James Noddy Fagan, should be celebrated as much as we celebrate a Millwall goal, as much as we celebrate an Arsenal goal. We'll be cheering for Fulham goal if we ever find the net again. But, we should be celebrating that, because if more people become comfortable of having the conversations, it can be okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And there are so many fantastic charities. Andy's Man Club, Campaign Against Living Miserably, Samaritans, ones that you're welcome with, big, small, smaller. They're all there with a purpose to make a difference, and actually being able to talk about it, and you do it so articulately. Fair play to you, mate. Don't ever stop.
No, and I don't intend to. And same with you. As I said, it doesn't have to be on a large scale. It can just be any group of mates. People have said to me about, how do we start our own walk and talk? You just start walking and talking. It's very straightforward. Yeah. Like there's no sign up, no affiliation. Doesn't need to be. And it's not a competition. I hope that this inspires other people to do more of this. In fact, we've got someone that we was talking to who's started to do it over in America off the back of me meeting them through the James Bond kind of thing, and he's now doing it over in America. A guy called Chris Morales, shout out to him, and he's now started it over there because it needs to happen, because he's, like you said, small groups of people doing this makes a big difference overall. It really does.
James, I think it's been an absolute quality episode, mate.
I've loved it.
The subjects we've spoke about are so different and so unusual, but so inspiring, right? It's so inspiring to see someone that's gone into a game show come out the other side, and actually it's all worked out quite well. Thank you very much. But there was highs and lows on that journey. I love the builders merchant background. It's always going to be close to my heart, and it's always going to be something that I love and talk about. We're talking about real football teams, real football fans, and we've left it really powerfully on mental health. I think before we finish off, we've got a couple of birthdays, haven't we? So happy birthday to your little girl, Frankie
Fagan. Yeah, happy 13th.
Happy 13th, Frankie Fagan. And Charlie, it was your birthday.
Hey,
yeah, so you're not getting away, mate. So
happy belated birthday.
So belated birthday wishes to you. That was... I loved it, Charlotte. Did you enjoy that?
It was
a really, really good episode, James. Thank you so much for coming down today. We'll spend some time together down the stairs before we go away, because I just think it's been so good, and I want to pick up on some of the stuff you're talking about. It's already got me thinking about what we can add some content to, how we can add some support, not just cheerleading, actually physical support being involved as well. So that's something fantastic. I want to talk to you about. Hula, always a pleasure. Never a chore. Thank you, David Blitz and ET Clay Products. That was episode 6 of season 9 of the Foyne Jones Show. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening.